Try to pass this test if you still think Apple copied the iPhone 14 design to iPhone 15. And the test is to identify this iPhone's model name and the model year. And now, for a shock to some of you, the model that you just saw here was none other than the iPhone 11 Pro Max, launched 4 years ago in 2019. And since then, every single Pro Max model of iPhone is following the same symmetry of these 3 cameras. Oh, that was 14. And it's not just the Pro Max model. If you look closely, there haven't been much difference in the design of other models too, apart from placing the bottom camera aside. See, Apple was known for innovation and groundbreaking products every year. Remember, while everyone was racing for better button phones, Apple killed all of those with its compact iPhone 3G. Then the iPhone 4, which introduced FaceTime, 3G connectivity, a slew of game-changing features, and let's not forget the iPhone 5s, ahead of its time, with built-in fingerprint technology back then, with huge storage capacities and with the remarkable iCloud. Then the iPhone 6, with one of the best designs and the first phone in the whole world to have a 4K camera in it. A masterpiece that shattered sales records that are still not broken by any iPhone model to this date. But over a few years, have you noticed? The flame of this innovation has dimmed. The iPhone was bringing better and better features back then. But things have changed now. While people expected Apple to launch something innovative, like what Samsung did with flip or fold phones, but in 2023, Apple launched the same design with even worse build quality. And the notch, it was a fancy version of what Samsung introduced 4 years back. See, many are blaming Tim Cook and calling him the innovation killer, with nothing extraordinary in iPhones now. If you also thought so, then I got a question for you. How does this company is able to manage billions of dollars of sales and keeping those days and days of long queues outside their store if their phone is so boring? And how an identical design launching company with a market cap of $1 trillion in 2018 doubled their market cap to $2 trillion in just 2 years in 2020. And in 2022, another 2 years and the Apple market cap touched to a whopping $3 trillion, which is the amount of money that is greater than the GDP of 186 countries of the world. A company so huge, having hired some of the brightest brains of the sector with the finest business consultants of the world. The company is like a powerhouse of intellect and expertise. So one just cannot say they don't know how to do business. In this video, you'll learn about how the same design of Apple is actually making them huge profits. What are the business strategies that are making them grow exponentially year by year? And how Apple is killing its competition. And most importantly, what are the pragmatic strategies you can learn from an unshakable business model of Apple? Before moving on, I would like to share that this channel exists for a reason. And that is a mission to spread entrepreneurial knowledge with different means and to make a community of visionaries so you can make friends and help each other grow. You can support us by subscribing to this channel. Thank you. So coming back, if Apple got all the brain power in the world, why are they not listening to the customers? And we found out that the major shift in the customer behavior happened in 2018 or after 2017. Well, that year, Apple launched iPhone XS and XS Max. And that, my friend, is considered to be the start of Apple's copy and paste era. XS and XS Max were the exact copy of its predecessor iPhone X. Whether it's the notch, the design, the camera design, or even the exact same 5.8-inch OLED display. And to your surprise, this trend of Apple launching the identical designs has proved to be working for every single one. Let it be Apple itself, their stock investor, their customers, or governments worldwide. And to understand this, in very simple words, you need to understand that Apple earlier was first focused on customer acquisition model. But almost after a decade, they switched their focus to customer retention model, where Samsung has a retention rate of 71%, OnePlus with 61.5%, Apple alone has a customer retention rate of 90%. And if you look at the smartphone market data of the USA, where Samsung captured 26.29% of the market, Motorola got 4.34%, Google smartphone has a share of 2.11%, LG got just 1.47%. And if you add them all up, it will still fail to outpass the gigantic share of Apple capturing a whooping 59.79% of smartphone market in USA. And if you think Apple reached these numbers in the past 1 or 2 years, then look carefully at this data, as Apple already captured and crossed the 50% market share mark in 2011. But since then, they have been reciprocating within 50 to 60% of market share. And if a single company got a market share of more than 50% in a country like America, it makes more sense to retain those customers as opposed to primarily focusing on pitching the new ones. Because in every business, there is a scale at which you can grow. Post that, the company will hit the plateau. And they realized that a decade back. But the question is, even after giants like Nokia, LG, Samsung, Google, and all other Android brands giving their best to provide better features than iPhone at less than half the cost every single year, how did Apple manage to conquer the smartphone market and attain unmatched growth? And the answer is not only the customer retention model, but the secret lies in their execution of that retention model. And for easier understanding, I have divided the 3-step framework of RGLP model, or the retention and growth loop process, which is very fun and easy to understand. Out of these 3 steps, in here, the first step was executed from 2008 to 2017, when Apple was more of an innovative hardware company, marketing mainly on sales, making more and more people like you and me to get attracted, buy, use and engage in their devices. This means that almost for a whole decade, Apple had its motive clear, and that was to make their iPhones the hottest selling smartphone on the planet. And as soon as the user got their hands on it, they realized they are within the walls of Apple now. How? Because these users started to realize that it's very difficult to shift from iOS to Android just because of something known as the Apple ecosystem, which the user gets into the minute they make their Apple ID. And because it is designed after years and years of work, as on one side, the tech team and the marketing team was focusing on selling the iPhones like crazy, parallelly the other departments prepared themselves for the second step, and that was dominating other industries with innovations every year. And these included the iPads, their sleek Apple TV, AirTags, Apple iMac, AirPods, HomePods, their OG Apple Watch, and now their Vision Pro. Well, these devices are designed in a way they will work seamlessly only with Siri, hence making an indirect or growth loop with their iPhones. If you want to learn more about what a growth loop is in business, you can check the link in the description. Now you would be asking, but Abhinav, why is that these Apple designers don't change iPhone designs? And what does designs have to do with anything? Well, I have an amazing example for answering this question for you. Now there are 2 friends, Ramesh and Suresh. Both have started earning money. So Ramesh in 2021 decided to buy the latest iPhone 13 basic 128GB variant at a cost of around 60,000 rupees. Whereas Suresh's ego got hurt watching his friend flashing the iPhone. So he decided to buy something more expensive and distinctive. So he bought the top variant of Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra in the same year of 2021. And back then it was priced at 1,17,000 rupees. Well, both are happy with their devices and enjoying those flagship premium features. But as the time passes by, both Samsung and Apple launch their new models year after year, which is normal. Where Suresh with S21 Ultra is now feeling bad in 2023, and it's not because of the performance issue. No, rather the looks, as Samsung has now branded their latest phones S22 and S23 variants very well. After just 1 to 2 years of usage, Suresh's phone is looking outdated to him. And it is because of the design. He thinks people don't really recognize the status and the charm what his phone had back in 2021. As comparing the designs with other variants like S23 Ultra, his S21 really looks outdated. On the other hand, Ramesh is quite happy and satisfied with the iPhone 13 purchase, as Apple has not significantly changed the design of their next two successors, iPhone 14 and iPhone 15, not even their Pro Max models. And Ramesh is walking around with the same luxurious feel because it's very difficult to differentiate these models from distance, especially with covers on. And that is one of the way Apple retain their customers with the same design. Now the question would be, come on Abhinav, if Apple will not emphasize their new iPhones to their loyal customers, how will they earn money? So let me tell you that Apple don't even want these customers to buy those new iPhones. Now hey, before you say anything, let me clarify, as this is where the Apple's third strategy comes into play, and that is the cross-selling of their product. See, just like in the case of Ramesh's iPhone 13, he had a storage of 128 GB and he's not considering to buy the new iPhone 15 because the design is same anyways. All he wants is more storage. So he'll prefer buying extra services or subscriptions of iCloud, maybe buying 200 or 400 GB of more space, and then he'll pay for other services like Apple Music, Apple Arcade, Apple Fitness, or simply Apple One. The older the iPhone, the more services it will buy, as buying the new iPhone seems much more expensive, and anyways it's looking the same. And this way Apple is enjoying a very good cash flow, and the old customers are the primary users of it. When I checked the financial report of Apple for the third quarter of 2023, I found out that Apple generated a profit of $16.76 billion by selling products like iPhone, iPad, earbuds, and all of their other devices combined. And you know how much Apple made from selling its services? It was nearly $21.2 billion by just selling its services. And guys, that is the power of customer retention. However, there is another reason that have been forcing Apple to become intentionally less experimental and less risky, and that is the US government. You see, Apple alone contributes $430 billion in just the American economy, and one bad news report can drop their share prices within minutes, which directly influences the US stock market. Just like how Adani stock in India had to be revived because it created a domino effect in the Indian stock market. The ones who understand the stock market very well knows how US Dow Jones and Nasdaq is influencing the whole world stock market. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, they are constantly under the pressure of higher authorities and avoid being experimental, as any adverse change to their stock price might cause mayhem across the internet, which can directly or indirectly affect the US economy or the US stock market, which might create ripples to the whole world. And now Apple is planning to put big stakes in the EV sector and will be giving direct competition to Tesla. But is building cars the only way to make business in EV? Well, I have answered a lot of questions with a bonus of some of the best startup ideas that I could think for you. Watch the video by clicking here, or you can watch our first video that explains the core values of why this channel exists. Thank you.